Everybody, and welcome back. In the previous video, we had implemented our login function, which used an email and a password to log us into Firebase. And now in this video, we're actually going to be hooking that up into our login page. So with that said, let's get into it and let's see how to do it. So the first thing that I'm going to do is that on my login page state class, I'm going to be adding two variables which will be used to actually store the information for the email and password that gets inputted into our email and password fields. So I'm going to say that this is going to be a variable optional string. That means it may be null, it might not be null. And I'll call this underscore email, and then another similar variable string, which will be password. So it might be null, it might not be null. Once I have these two defined, the next thing that I'm going to be doing is that I am going to be creating a variable which will store a reference to our authentication provider. So I'm going to create a late variable and I'll call this authentication provider. That means that I firstly need to import my provider. So I'm going to go here and I'll say providers, and then here I'm going to import the /provider or /providers and then authentication provider, and then I can come down here and do authentication provider and I'll call this auth. And then I'm also going to import right now our navigation service as well. So I'm going to go to the top, and after my providers, I'm going to add another comment, say services, import, and then /services/navigation service. And then I will come here and add our navigation service and then do underscore navigation for the variable name. And now I can do command save. The next thing that I'm going to be doing is that I am going to be going to my build method, and inside of here, I'm firstly going to get access to our authentication provider, and then I'm going to use get it to actually get access to our navigation service as well. So if you remember in the previous videos, we had implemented our authentication provider and we've added it to the widget tree by placing a multi-provider widget, and then to its providers list, adding a change notifier provider of the type of authentication provider. And then for the child of that, we added our material app, which is a widget that wraps our entire application in it. So that means that any of the widgets that now come underneath of our material app, including our material app, have now access to our authentication provider. And how do we access the authentication provider as needed? Well, we're going to go to wherever we need access to our authentication provider. So I'm going to use the build method because it's providing us the context, and we do require access to the context to get access to our provider. And I'm going to say that I'm going to set my underscore auth equal to underscore auth is equals to my provider. So provider dot and then auth of type authentication provider. And then I'm going to pass in the context, and then I'll add a semicolon. And it's giving me an error saying that provider is not defined. And I think that's because I didn't import the correct provider package. So I'm going to go to the top packages and I'm going to import it by saying provider. And this should hopefully fix the error for us. So now we can do command save, and there we go. So what essentially this call does of provider.auth, it's that it's going to go through the widget tree that we have, and it's going to go up the widget tree, and it's going to find the first provider that it can find of type authentication provider given the provided context, and then it's going to return that, and we're going to put that inside of our auth variable, which is of type authentication provider. So now that I have access to my authentication provider, the next thing that I'm going to do is that I'm going to quickly get our navigation service as well. So I'm going to do underscore navigation is equals to, and then I'm going to set that equal to get it. So that means I need to import get it. So I'm going to go to the top to where I have my packages being imported, and I'll import get it. And then I'll come down and I'll do get it dot, and it's get it, I believe, dot instance dot, and then I'm going to say get of type navigation service, and then I'm going to add the brackets and do command save. And that's pretty much all we had to do to get access to our provider as well as our navigation service. So with this, what I'm going to do is that I'm going to run my application. I'm going to wait for the application to show up on the simulator, and once that is done, I'm going to resume the video. Hello everybody, welcome back. Now that the application is up on the simulator and we don't have any errors, we can continue on. So the next thing that I'd like to do is that I'd like to actually save the email and password into the corresponding variables once we actually click on the save button. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to go down to the point where we have the first widget, which is responsible for rendering our custom text form field. So that's the text form field for our email. And inside of the onSaved function is where I'm going to be inputting the logic to actually save our email. So inside of onSaved, what I'll do is that I'll call setState. And then inside of setState, what I'll say is that I'll say that the email variable needs to be set to whatever value that gets passed in, and then I'll do command save. That's pretty much all we had to do. And then I'll just copy this again, and I'll go down to the other custom text form field, and for the onSaved function of that field, inside of there, I'll just copy and paste the thing, but instead of now assigning the email variable the value, I'm going to assign the password variable the value, and then do command save. But now the question arises, how are we going to call save? If you might have noticed that we had used a form widget, and underneath of this form widget, we had placed our two custom text form fields. And inside of there, we had our two onSaved functions and all of the logic associated with it. So now if we call a function on the form, such as, for example, save, then it should go through all of the children of that form, and it should call the onSaved function on them, and then they should perform whatever corresponding action they have been stated to perform in that function by themselves. So now the next thing that I'm going to do is that I'm going to actually work on the login button and actually implement the logic inside of the login button, such that when the login button is pressed, we validate our form, and then next we kind of save whatever email and password value that we have inside of it into the corresponding variables. So to get going, what I'm going to do is that I'm going to go to our login button, and inside of our login button, as you can see, we have this onPressed function. For the onPressed function inside of there, what I'm going to do is that I'm going to add an if clause, and I'm going to say that if the login form key, and the current state, and then an exclamation mark dot validate. So that means if the current form is validated and is valid. And how do we know that the current form is valid? Well, if you go back to our form, you're going to see that for the form, we have these two children. Each of them have a very specific regex being passed to them. And this regex is used in their validate function. So if I go to the definition for a custom text form field, you're going to see that for the validator function, we use this regular expression and try to match it with whatever value gets inputted. And if that is a match, we then return null, which means there is no error, else we return an enter a valid value. Well, once we call validate here, it actually goes to the form, it goes to all of their children, and for each children, if there is a validate method in them, actually calls that method and checks to see if something is returned or not. And that's how we validate whether the form is valid or not. If all of the children return null, that means the form was valid, hence we can move on. So once the form is valid, the next thing that I'd like to do is that I'd like to save the actual values, and for that we've already implemented the onSaved function logic for both of the text form fields. Now all I have to do is that I like to use the login form key, then the current state, and then on that I'll need to call the save function, and with this we'll call the save function on both of these text form fields, and the values would be saved appropriately. Just to prove my point, what I'll do is that I'll print the value of email by doing email is $_email, and then I'll do password is $_password, and then what I'll do is that I'll have semicolon, and then I'll just take this print statement, and before saving I'll add it here as well, and do command save. So now let's test our implementation and let's see if the logic that we've implemented kind of actually works or not. So inside of my email, I'm going to type in Hussein, and then which is not a valid email, as you can see, and then I'm going to do test. And if I click on login, you're going to see that nothing's happening. Let me reload the application. Maybe that's the issue. So if I click on login now, nothing's happening still. So I'm gonna pause this video here and I'll see what the problem is, and then I'll continue it again. Hello everybody, welcome back. I kind of found the error, and the error was that inside of our definition for a rounded button, for its onPressed callback, we had never registered the function that we had to call once onPressed was called. And that's why there was no action happening. So if you go to the roundedButton.dart file and then to the roundedButton class, scroll down to the build method and then to where we define our text button. For the onPressed function, here what I would like you to do is that I'd like you to, inside of the function definition, say that call onPressed. So I'll just add an arrow function here, and then I'll say that you need to call onPressed, and then add the brackets at the end and do command save. So with this, what I'm going to do is now I'm going to reload my application, or restart, sorry. And then I am going to wait for the simulator to restart, and then I'll put in Hussein as the first value, so not a valid email. And then for the password, I'll just do test. And then if I click on login, you're going to see that it says enter a valid value, enter a valid value. And now if I do Hussein add, and then I do preneur.com, so it's a valid email. That's how we had configured our regular expression. And I type in a password that's longer than 8 characters and click on login. You're going to see that the first debug statement that we get, the email is null and password is null, which corresponds to this one on line 133. And then as soon as we call save, and then we print the same email and password variables, they print the corresponding values. So now we have access to the email and password values. So with this, the final step that's left to do is that we have to call auth dot and then just use the login using email and password function and pass our corresponding email to it, and then add an exclamation mark stating that we know that this is going to for sure have a value and not be null. And same for password, and add a semicolon, do command save. And now if I click on login, it's going to log us in and we have no errors, but there's no indication that we were logged in. So what I'll do is that I'll go to my authentication provider, and for now, once we are logged in, I am just going to print underscore auth dot, and then I'll just use the current user variable, and then just do command save. I'll reload my application, or restart it, sorry. And then I'm just gonna wait for the simulator to launch again. I'll type in Hussein at preneur.com and then the correct password. And then if I click on, let's use a messed up password first just to see that we get an error. It says, oh yeah, you're going to see that Flutter gives us saying error logging user into Firebase. And now if I remove these values and I put in the correct password and we log in, you're going to see that we get an input or an output on the debug console that prints the relevant information for our user here. So with this, we know that our user has successfully been logged into our application. So with that, I'm going to end this video here. I'll see you guys in the next video where we'll continue fine-tuning the implementation of our authentication provider and actually implement some other logic of actually moving once we're logged in from our login page to our home page, let's just say. So with that, I'll remove the print statement. Thank you for watching. I'll catch you guys in the next video.